Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ryan here talking about WWE SummerSlam, which just concluded. My overall thoughts on the show were that it started out pretty damn good, at least talking about the proper show itself, not the pre-show, which unfortunately I missed a lot of that. But overall, I thought the show started out really good and kind of tapered off a little bit. Wasn't as hyped for some of the matches as I thought I was going to be, and I think just fatigue is the best word to describe this show. I mean, the pre-show started at 5 p.m. and the show went all the way till just after 11. So it's pretty crazy that the shows are just going this long. It's just absolutely too long. And I know most people aren't going to check out the entire pre-show and things like that, but we got matches happening in the 7 o'clock hour, and all of this, and in the 6 o'clock hour. It's just crazy. It's insane that we have this much wrestling going on. And you know what, for maybe people watching at home, that's not that bad, but I think the crowd really suffered from this, that there is such thing as too much. And I think some of the matches just could have been a lot better had the crowd been into it more. But anyway, just getting into the actual show itself, I missed the 12-man pre-show tag match. American Alpha, the Hype Bros, and the Usos did win that. I caught the tail end of Sami Zayn and Neville taking on the Dudley Boys. It'll be interesting to see if they'll continue this Dudley Boys possibly splitting up thing. But anyway, good to see Sami Zayn and Neville make it on the card. Definitely Sami Zayn, who had a Match of the Year candidate at the last pay-per-view. At least he got some pay-per-view time, so that's pretty good. The first of the best of 7 series between Sheamus and Cesaro was won by Sheamus. And then to kick off the actual show itself, we had Enzo and Cass taking on Jericho. I thought this was a fun match, and I was actually pretty surprised that Jericho won the match here. I'm expecting this feud to continue. I didn't think that Jericho was going to be a long-term thing, but I mean, if they're giving them a win over the hottest tag team going right now, then I think this is going to continue, and maybe Jericho is going to be a bigger deal than we all expected it to be. And I really think Enzo and Cass really need to conclude this feud with a win. So hopefully this continues on, because the promos have been a ton of fun. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Next up, we had Sasha Banks versus Charlotte in a phenomenal match. This was definitely up there as one of the best matches on the show. Too many times, though, I felt like Sasha Banks was going to break her freaking neck, so she really needs to be careful with that. And completely shocked that Charlotte won. This was an excellent, excellent match, and probably the best women's pay-per-view match since WrestleMania, if my memory serves me correct. I really, really enjoyed this match and was very shocked that Charlotte won. Some rumors going around that Sasha is going to be going away for about a month, maybe a couple days more than that, and it could be due to various things, including possibly suspension. That's something I'm sure we're going to know a lot more about on Tuesday for the podcast, so I'm not going to really comment too much further on that, as most of it at this point is complete speculation. But Charlotte, the new women's champion, pretty shocking, so I feel like something kind of had to come up there, because Charlotte had been champion, for almost a year, and to have that already taken away from Sasha seems a little premature. So it wouldn't surprise me if some outside influences were going on there. So we'll have to find out more I'm sure we'll know a lot more by the end of the day tomorrow. Moving on, we had The Miz versus Apollo Crews in an Intercontinental Championship match. Pretty quick, not too much to say about it. I expected The Miz to retain. I think it was a little early for Crews to get the win. So that's pretty much all I got to say on that one. Cena versus AJ Styles. I think this is the match that we've all been waiting for between John Cena and AJ Styles. Excellent, excellent back and forth match. Loved it. I mean, the fact that AJ Styles kicked out of the Super AA is just insane. I love the chemistry between these two guys, and pretty awesome to see AJ Styles get that clean win over John Cena. I mean, John Cena, I heard, might be taking some time off following SummerSlam, so it was the right thing to do to give AJ the win. This was awesome. It's great to see AJ get the win, and on top of that, just an awesome match. Probably the best match on the card. So hats off to both these guys. I really enjoyed this match. We had the New Day versus the Club for the Tag Team Championships, and very surprised to actually see this end in a DQ. I was fully expecting the Club to win here and win the Tag Championship belts. It made sense that Big E wasn't there. Jon Stewart getting involved. I appreciated Jon Stewart on the show. I was pretty surprised that he was getting kind of some boos during his promo, but I really think he's generally entertaining. And to see that he almost got ring post-itis of his own, but then Big E makes the save. Cool. Like I said, I'm expecting this feud to continue, obviously. I mean, if it ends at SummerSlam in a DQ, we're going to see some continuation here. And I guess, if the New Day are going to lose the Tag Team Championships, you want to have every member there, I suppose. It seemed like this would be the way that the Club would win, though, because Big E would be absent. But I think we're going to get Big E and Kofi taking on the Club at a coming pay-per-view. And I really think the Club's, they're going to be getting those tag belts soon. The New Day have had it for a year now. And even though they are entertaining as hell, we'll have to see if the Club can get a hold of those belts. Moving on to Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, if any of you listen to the podcast, you'd be familiar with the fact that I made the bold call that not Dean Ambrose, but Dolph Ziggler would become WWE Champion. Of course, feels bad, man. I was super, super wrong. And then just to put a little extra emphasis on me being wrong, you see Dolph Ziggler dressed up as Colonel Sanders later in the show, and it's like, oh, yep, of course they wouldn't make him WWE Champion. Feels bad. Nevertheless, this match was pretty good, but the crowd just wasn't feeling it. And I feel like after AJ Styles and Cena, and then the New Day and the Club, they were just completely burnt out. And unfortunately, this was in a bad spot. Ambrose versus Ziggler. It didn't get the reaction it deserved. And, I'm fine with, obviously, Dean Ambrose remaining WWE Champion. I mean, he is going to be the guy that really carries the SmackDown brand. It's just unfortunate that it was put in a bad spot. It seems like they maybe, looking at the full card, because I was going to say maybe they should have put the six-man tag women's match, rather, before this, but then you get the Universal title coming up there. So just because we had so many matches, it was really impossible to place these matches perfectly so that the right matches would get the right reactions. And this was just in a bad spot, and it's unfortunate. So moving on to the six women's tag match, we had Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Naomi versus Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and the returning Nikki Bella. I really like the way they handled Eva Marie not showing up, because, I mean, take advantage of the suspension. If she's not going to be there, at least make a joke out of it, because that's basically been her gimmick, is just not showing up or finding a way out of a match. So that was pretty perfect. With Nikki Bella coming back, you kind of think that they had to give Nikki the win. I mean, she's had a long road to recovery, and she really does deserve the win. So she was on the heel team, obviously, because Eva's spot was open. And I really wonder if she was always never going to be in that, and that was always Nikki's spot anyway. Interesting food for thought. But either way, Nikki was on the heel team and acted pretty heel at the end of the match, doing the whole loser symbol and all of that. So I'm curious to see whether Nikki will be a heel going into SmackDown. She is on the SmackDown brand. Makes perfect sense considering John Cena is also on SmackDown. And, she could end up being the great foil to Becky Lynch. So this could be pretty cool. And obviously, the women's roster on SmackDown probably needed a little bit more help than the Raw one did. So it's good to see Nikki go there. And cool to see her back. So next up, we had Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal Championship, which the crowd cared more about crapping all over the new Universal Championship than they did paying attention to this match until the absolute very end. So this was an excellent match that didn't get the crowd reaction it deserved for most of it. But like I said, I mean, when the show's going on this long, dumb things are going to distract them. And every time that belt showed up, they booed it. They had chants about, how bad the title was. It's essentially just the WWE World title, but red. Everything's red. All red everything. Even Marie should win that title, right? Because it's interesting how close it is to the Women's Championship. The only real difference, obviously, is that it's his Universal title and that the full strap is red as opposed to white, and the leather behind it is also red. One thought I had was, okay, now we have the Universal title looking the way it does, and we have the regular WWE Championship looking the way it does, and then we have the Women's Championship looking the way it does. There's now 3 titles that all look very similar. And then on SmackDown, if they introduce another Women's Championship, it's probably going to look like the other Women's Championship on Raw, but it's going to be blue or something. So we could end up having 4 championships that all look almost exactly alike. Now, it was kind of cool when it was just the WWE title and the women's title, but now that there's 3, it's getting a little crazy, and there could potentially be 4. Nevertheless, Finn Balor becomes WWE Universal Champion. Now, I was very surprised that they're going out on a limb here. They are all in on Finn Balor more than I thought they were, which is really awesome to see. I really thought they were going to go with the safe pick with Seth Rollins, but they're really trying to push that new era, and more power to them. I'm really interested to see what they do with Finn Balor as Universal Champion. He is leading the Raw brand, so this is pretty crazy. Next up, we have a match that never really took place. Rusev versus Roman Reigns went to a no contest, as basically Roman Reigns just beat the living hell out of Rusev, and then he was deemed unable to compete. It was pretty cool to see just a match like it made the heat between these guys feel real when they're just focused on beating the hell out of each other, and the match is almost secondary. I'm curious to see where this goes. I mean, now you feel like it has to continue, but as I said before, I really don't think Roman is probably going to end up winning the U.S. title, so I feel like they're just kind of finding ways to get out of it. But you can't just end it like this. I mean, it has to go to another match. So we'll have to see how they keep the title away from Roman so that he can bounce back into the main event when they need him to. But I actually kind of enjoyed that they kept this short and sweet and just made it a brawl. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was a pretty good decision to change up the pace because people have seen like 10 other matches that night. So I like that they did something different towards the end because there was a good chance that the crowd could have crapped all over this match just out of fatigue, and that they weren't going to be truly as invested in this as some of the other matches. Finally, we had Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton, with Lesnar winning via a technical knockout. And I was really, really digging this match. I loved it. And then it just ended so abruptly. One has to think that this is not the way it was supposed to end. I really feel the way that SummerSlam overall ended was kind of weird. It just didn't feel like that's how you end a show. So something tells me that Lesnar just got a little too rough there and really busted open Orton bad, and that they really just had to end the match because he looked like he was bleeding really, really bad. So it's unfortunate because I actually thought this match was very, very good up until that point. And then that was the end of the show. So SummerSlam, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed by the show overall just because it started to just fall flat towards the second half. And really, it's not even that the matches were that bad. It's just I feel like people kind of got burnt out just because of how long of a show it was. Like a 5+ hour show is just too long. Excuse me. I keep having air coming out. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me, man, but that is your SummerSlam, folks. Interesting show, controversial probably in a lot of ways, but I still found a lot of things to enjoy. Like I said, Cena versus AJ, probably the match of the night, followed by Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. I also really enjoyed Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton for what it was. Those were the major highlights for me. So make sure to let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of SummerSlam as a whole. What was your favorite match and what was disappointing to you? You can even give it the famous 1 to 4 rating if you'd like to. I'd probably give it a 3, a generous 3, because I ain't gonna do no 0.5s or whatever. So I give it a generous 3 for a good show. Make sure to also check out some of our other videos on this glorious YouTube channel. You can check out those videos on the side. They are awesome. They are awesome videos. And if you would like to support us, you'd like to go one step further, you can go to patreon.com/Byte That, where in the month of August, if you support us and become a Byte That patron, you enter into our WWE t-shirt giveaway, where one lucky winner will get a WWE t-shirt of their choosing. So go to patreon.com/Byte That for more information. And remember to check out our full thoughts on not only SummerSlam, but Raw as well on the podcast this Tuesday right on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.